Hello everybody, welcome to the Merschman Seeds Ag Weather Briefing for June 2nd, 2018. You know, we've really shifted from, in many areas, from spring or maybe late winter even to summer. We've gone from an unusually cold April to perhaps even a record-setting month of May. We've gone from not much precipitation to scattered high plains severe weather, which is typical of summertime. So it really has gone into a summertime type pattern. And I don't see too much change to that, but there is an underlying type pattern that I am quite concerned about. I'm going to be talking about that in today's briefing. So enough from me on the video here. Let's get started with today's briefing. I want to start with taking a look at the rainfall from the month of May. This is the total amount of rainfall, and what you can see here is good parts of the Corn Belt received at least some rain. Now, there were some pockets of light amounts, and I would say anything in that area of green or yellow are areas that received some lighter amounts, and red were some heavier amounts. But overall, when we look at the departures for the month of May, I don't see any glaring, really strong departures. Now, I will say I'm a little bit concerned with needing some more rain in these areas of darker shades of brown, parts of Missouri, parts of Indiana. We need some more rain. We need to sustain the rain as we get into the hotter months. But there were some areas of surpluses as well, as indicated in purple. Now, last week I mentioned that summertime pattern. We did have at least some rain over most areas. You know, ideally what we want to see is this dark green or yellow each week as we get into the hotter parts of the summer, at least the green, maybe around an inch here. That's what we'd like to see. So overall it looked pretty decent. Now, there were some areas that missed out on it, and these are areas that remain dry, but overall what we can see is actually a favorable type precipitation pattern for most areas. And as you know, when I'm talking about the entire Corn Belt, there are going to be some areas that receive a decent rain, and others it's never going to be perfect. We all know that. So when we look at last week, though, we have a pretty good pattern of above normal temperatures centered right over the Corn Belt. 10 degrees on the average. That's pretty significant. So a hot week. And when we have those hot temperatures, I don't need to tell you, we need more precipitation to keep those soils from really drying out. But right now, we're still in pretty good shape. When we look at the areas that need more rain, we're looking at western Missouri, actually parts of eastern as well, almost all of Kansas, and then western Oklahoma, and then sort of draw that line here, maybe the upper plains as well, but everywhere else, the primary Corn Belt looks to me like it's in overall pretty good shape at this time. But the big story is going to be this area of high pressure here. It's ridging up to the north, and that's going to result in western parts of the U.S. extending into the western Corn Belt. So we're with above normal temperatures. So we're looking at from Texas due north up through the plains, Kansas, Nebraska, Dakotas, and maybe even bumping into the western parts of the central Corn Belt above normal temperatures. Last week, though, we did have some rain from Alberta as it moved north. This is not a common track, but it's, you know, it does occur, but look at this, almost due north all the way up to Michigan from the Yucatan Peninsula. So that was an interesting track, and it actually kept its characteristics, circulation and such, as it moved up to the north. But don't see anything at all in the Gulf. Gulf looks actually clear, so I don't expect any tropical weather. Sort of looking like this week's going to be just some scattered type precipitation along this frontal boundary that's pushing through. I talked about a backdoor cool front that might drop temperatures in the eastern Corn Belt a bit, and there could be some scattered strong storms ahead of that produce these isolated pockets of heavier rainfall. Hard to say exactly where they will be. Now let's take a look at the bigger picture, though. This is where I am getting a bit concerned. This is that area of high pressure, and look how it stays anchored over this area. It actually intensifies out here towards about a week from now, and that's going to really pump up the temperatures over the central part of the U.S. and the south, in the western U.S. right through the middle part of the month of June. And if we want to look at temperatures here, let's take a look at those. And this is what we have now. You notice this is that backdoor cool front. It brings temperatures over the eastern Corn Belt, parts of the Great Lakes, down a bit, near normal to a bit above normal. So if you're in Indiana, Ohio, maybe Michigan, it might be a bit above normal, but you're really not going to have the influence of this really hot weather. So we're still looking at Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and the Dakotas, probably bumping into the far western parts of Minnesota, Iowa, and maybe even Missouri, right through the middle part of the month of June. As far as precipitation, departures, here's week 1. Green is above normal, yellow is below, and here's week 2. Week 2 is looking pretty quiet. Next week's looking pretty quiet over much of the area. But I did want to point out the hazards of these above normal temperatures as indicated here. And then we look on weeks 3 and 4, just not much change, so it's really looking tough here, right through this area right here, and perhaps with time even moving a bit over this way. So the western Corn Belt, mainly the southwest area, looking pretty hot and dry. Eastern Corn Belt looking better, looking like temperatures closer to normal, precipitation closer to normal. And I just wanted to show you the number of days over the next 10 days where temperatures could reach near 100 degrees. Areas in blue are indicating 2 or 3 degrees, and areas in that lighter shade is maybe 3 to 4 degrees. So we're bumping up against 100 degrees in parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. So overall, I think that's the weather story. I hope you've been taking a look at rain forecaster. I put that together. I look at that myself a lot throughout the day to monitor what's coming in. We have some storms out to our west right now. I'm sort of watching that. So if you're not used to that, keep it up on your screens. It works good on your cell phone as well, rainforecaster.com. And I'll be watching the heat, but if you're in the western Corn Belt, it's not looking all that good at all, especially down in the southwestern area. Eastern Corn Belt's looking better right now. That's this week's briefing. I hope you all have a great week. Take care.